Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ryan here, and today I'm doing a really cool video because I have a nice setup of my beautiful HD 4K. I'm actually about to start my workday here in front of the computer, and I'm thinking. I'm thinking about a lot of things because I'm having this transition in my business, or this situation where things are sort of in limbo, and it's not a bad thing because no matter what, I'm going to have opportunity. But the thing that makes it so uneasy is uncertainty, right? Because you have this, larger business, and you're like sort of a single person or the smaller person in the organization. But I think it's easy to forget as an individual how much leverage or power that you have, because every business needs people, and in any company, the one thing that a lot of people who are employees forget is that the value of the company, of a business, is in the people in it. Of course, ultimately they want to build a company of a high brand, but then it's really the business operators and the culture and all that kind of stuff. I'm sort of making this video because I'm trying to this is like therapy for me. Trying to figure out what it is, just trying to sort of, it's cathartic, right? To sort of express myself, to talk about these kinds of things. And I'm sure if you watch some of my videos, you sort of know, you have a good sense for what mood I'm in, I think what's so cool about video, and when you hear audio combined, right, is that it's very, what's that word? It's very authentic, right? You can't, it's very honest. You can't really fake it. I mean, you can tell when I'm trying too hard. You can tell when I'm stressed. I mean, especially, again, if you watch a lot of my videos, if you've seen a lot of my videos, you can have a sense, someone that I always feel weird about, this is kind of, okay, where was I? I forgot already. I was talking about being authentic and knowing me. Oh, I was going to go off topic about actually Ty Lopez, if you're familiar with him. He's the guy that holds the camera like this, and then he goes, he does a little vlog, and he's has a Lamborghini and hot chicks in all his videos. And for a while, I didn't like that guy. But after a while, you watch him, you get a sense for kind of his center point, because I've listened to a few interviews, and to me, he always seems like he's hiding something. But I mean, you kind of get used to a person if you listen to them enough, and then if you spend enough time with someone, it's kind of hard not to like them, or to not. It's kind of hard not to treat them as another human being, if that makes any sense. Because the people that we're meanest to, or I should say, the people that the public are mean. Look at Donald Trump, politics, stuff that's going on in the world. It's very easy to be mean to people that you don't know, right? Again, getting totally off topic. But I just bring that up because it's just something that was just on my mind just now. But anyways, kind of going back to what I was talking about business, large business decisions and negotiating and decision making. For me, I'm always thinking about or what I'm thinking about now, or what I want to basically share is that, you always have something value to bring to the table, and the more highly value you are, the more power you have. And I think a lot of what happens often, and it happens to me a lot, is that you undervalue your ability and skills. And often, this is what happens to me, is that you value security over freedom. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. People do want to, have a job, and they want to be, have a good base salary and an opportunity for growth in a company, whereas others want freedom, and that's kind of the entrepreneur. There's a certain irony. There's actually a book I actually read this book a bunch of times, and I'm reading it again because it helps me understand sort of how other people think, or how a large business thinks. Because this is essentially think about the CEO of your company. Think about high level up managers. This is sort of how they think. They're business operators, just like you. If you run a business or you're a manager of any kind, you're a business operator. And the irony about this is that when you go from, getting to your first $1 million in sales, and then you go to, $10 million, $5 million, $10 million, into $100 million, the organization starts to change. And what you started with is sort of like, essentially, you start off with a sort of bootstrapping entrepreneur business, right? You're kind of on your own, you get your own customers, you hustle people, and if you have a business, you have people that are doing multiple jobs. And then as you grow, you start to have to become more siloed, right? People have certain positions, For me, I remember at one point in my life, I wanted to start a personal training studio or gym, and my main skill is personal training. So if I started a gym, I would have to learn how to sell memberships, or I would have to learn how to collect leads. Even if it was a personal training studio, I would have to wear all these hats, right? And that's sort of what happens when you grow a business. You have to have specialized skills. You start off with being sort of good at one thing, but then having skills in other things, and then eventually learning how to hire those things out. Like in a gym, typically, I've just worked in gyms for years, so I use gyms as an analogy. You have operations managers, people who run the gym, that run like the front desk and stuff. Then you have personal training staff, and then you have sales staff. And a lot of companies, or a lot of gym companies, I should say, the bad ones anyway, they'll have a good sales staff and a good front desk staff, a pretty solid staff. A really good business, a good gym will have a good personal training staff, because the reason why is personal training is always like long-term income, and it's low profit margin. But the thing people don't see, other gym owners don't see, is they don't see how much long-term value there is. With the companies that I work with, when I work for UFC Gym or 24 Hour Fitness, they've always had that focus on personal training, because what people don't realize is that when you work on personal training, it improves everything. But the problem is it doesn't improve the bottom line right away, because it's so much easier to just sell a bunch of EFT memberships. Anyways, I love business, and because of being in gyms, I know it well. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, you need specialized skills, people who operate these 3 different departments. But then as a startup, you kind of do everything, and then as you grow and you build, you sort of have to, the reason why, in a way, like the reason why I moved away from wanting to work at a gym or work at any company for that matter, was that I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to choose my own course. I wanted to have that, risk of not being able to, basically having to figure it out on my own. I guess that would be ego, wouldn't it? But being able to have to figure it out on my own. The other thing too is, what's the other thing I'm thinking of? It's just being like, because I've just been in situations in the gym, when I worked at a gym when I was a manager, right, where it was very stressful. They would change our sales goals, or the market would change, and I wouldn't be able to hit revenue targets. And I just remember thinking that I've always wanted to go on my own and start my own business or start my own thing. And I remember thinking like, if this was my own business, I should hit goal. So it's so if that makes any sense to you. So think about this for a second. Let's say you have a $100,000 sales target, right? And you're thinking that goal's too high, because that's how your bonus is typically how a lot of businesses work. You're paid on a bonus structure by hitting either monthly or quarterly marks. And sometimes you can get resentful by the target. But if you think about it, if it was your own business, you wouldn't look at it like that, right? You would think about like, this is my money, right? And ultimately, that is what the business wants. They want someone to think like that, but be an employee. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just know that when you really understand business, there's just so much money you're leaving on the table. But a lot of that comes with risk, because, if you can run your own business and you can take on that risk, you can make a huge margin. So you make a crap load of money. So you have the upside and you have the downside. So I'm talking about this because I don't like that feeling of where people have decisions over me. And I think it's the reason why a lot of people want to start their own business, or maybe not work at a gym, or I work at a corporate type thing, is because they want to chart their own course, right? And the irony is, as your business grows, you actually start to learn. You actually end up, no matter, this sounds bad, and this is a really bad mindset, but you end up being a slave no matter what. And what I mean by that is that you're a slave no matter what, because what happens over time is you get to a point where, you work for the company, you climb up the ladder, you're a trainer, I was a trainer, then you become like a manager, and then you maybe climb up, and then it's almost like you have to hit your goals, and if you don't hit your goals, you're basically, you can get fired or demoted or whatever, and you lose your income potential. As a business owner, especially when you actually have a business where you have employees that are actually in charge of production and sales. It's even more scary because you start to realize that the people that you hire and the people you work with you're actually a slave to them. Even as a business owner, sure, you're making all this money, you have all these customers, but ultimately you can't. You get to a point where you can't do everything, and the people that you hire are sort of like in charge of you. So if they were to leave, you'd lose money. So it's kind of, no matter how you look at it, you have to learn how to work with people. And I got into trying to start my own online business so I wouldn't have to deal with people, or I can reduce how often I deal with people, because I do like working with people. I just don't like working with them that much. I don't like to train like a crap load of people. I like to control my environment as much as possible. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but just kind of thinking about this out loud, because it's really like getting my head going. What I'm trying to say is that no matter what you do, whether you are working for a company, low level, high level, mid level, whatever, or you are running your own business, no matter what you do, you will always be a slave to somebody else. That's a bad way of looking at it. Really, that's a bad way of looking at it, but it's something you should understand, because we need people in our life, and then I'm going to tangent off into like relationships, right? Because like we want to be able to be self-sufficient, take care of ourselves, and build our own career and build our own life. When you leave your home from your mom or your dad or your parents or whoever was taking care of you, right? You want to leave them, and then you just find out you just have to find other people to be with, right? You got to get married. You don't have to get married, but you don't want to be alone, right? You want to build a family. You want to have good friendships. So at the end of the day, even as a teenager and then growing up, wanting to break away from your family, trying to be on your own, and you have friends, and then you ultimately just end up getting tied down no matter what. There's a lot of irony in this, right? Because you want this, you have this ambition to be independent, but then you just realize you end up having to find a girlfriend or a wife or a husband, and and then having kids, and then being the slave to these children. This is a terrible way of looking at it. I know that. I'm gonna go the positive route in a moment, but just remember, like that's what's happening. You get to a point where you're just like that. No matter what you do, we need. One point is, and this is, I'm going about this in a circle for myself. Understand? No matter what I do, I'm gonna have to learn to work with people, and the only thing I can control is who the people I work with. And if you're like me, introverted maybe, or you're like sort of like have some social anxiety. The problem is that at the end of the day, even if you're making $1 million, it doesn't make a difference. You're working with people. I mean, when you have more money, you have more options, which does sound great at first, but it actually makes things a little bit more challenging. Because I've been making really good money with what I've been doing, and marketing, and I've been able to do it to a point where it doesn't take very long to do. Like I could have a 3 or 4 hour workday, and make a 6-figure income or something like that, right? But I want to get good at what I'm doing. I want to have the skill to get better so that I can make more money, but I want to be good, and I don't want to, this comes with extra. Maybe this comes from being a personal trainer and working out. I don't want to get lazy. I want to have good habits, and I don't want to get into that rut of like just getting home and not working out and that kind of stuff. I want to. I guess where am I going with this? I just want to keep getting better, and I want to enjoy what I'm doing, and I want to enjoy the struggle, and I want to keep having fun, and just keep messing around, and just enjoying the process of everything. I love it, and I'm embracing the struggle. Okay, so let's go back. So let me talk about, you're a slave to your boss. If you're a business owner, you're a slave to your employees or contractors. You're a slave to your children. You're a slave to your wife. Yeah, let's talk about it being the positive side, right? The positive side being, when you work for somebody else or you work in a business, you get to work with cool people. You don't have to work there. You get to choose who to work with. Right? I mean, not always, but I mean, you have a fair amount of control, maybe less control. You get to choose who you get to work with, right? To the type of company you want to work with, and you get to build something as a team, and you get to enjoy each other's company, and you get to have a shared vision, and like I worked in gyms, so you're building fitness, trying to change people through health and fitness, and then vice versa. If you are a business owner and you have employees, you get to be this person that creates more jobs, more income, more money for yourself. Definitely more freedom, definitely a higher level skill set. But you also create opportunity for other people. This is what I begin to realize why a lot of companies or people will hire people on their jobs. And why would you pay someone 6 figures, right? Just to do something, right? Well, number one, you don't want to do everything yourself, right? That's another one thing. You want more free time as a business owner. Number two, you want to build something cool. You want to have fun what you're doing, what you're creating. Number three, I think taxes is a big part. Taxes is also another reason, right? Why take on this tax burden when you can, save time and make money before you actually get to help another person. You actually get to be that person that gets jobs for people and really create opportunity and change people's lives in a big way. Like the company I work with, it's changed my life in such a huge way, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I think I need to do this too. Where I can, I have some virtual assistants that I work with that we pay overseas, but even though it to us is not a lot of money, but to them it's a lot, and we pay higher than average. Also, that kind of thing, and then for me, even myself, what I think about for me is there's this story, right? And I heard it on a podcast, and it was, I think it's Alaskan tribe or something. You can be the type of person that hunts, in the tribe and gets fish, right? And you feed yourself, maybe, right? Maybe you feed your family, hunting, fishing for fish, right? Or you could be the walrus hunter, the one that goes out, kills the walrus, and feeds the entire tribe. You probably will catch fish every day, maybe every other day. You have some bad days, but as a walrus hunter, you're probably going to be lots of days where you won't catch a walrus, and usually you're probably going to need a team, those are my thoughts. Anyways, so I think I want to be a walrus hunter. The thing that's sort of stopping me from being a walrus hunter is the fear of having to essentially trust an individual with a large amount of income. Having two reasons: one, to support them, right, to pay them. Number two, to sort of realize that I'm sort of a slave to them. And it's so funny how I can talk, and then I can talk about this in such a weird negative way and a positive way at the same time. I talked to my friend of mine. He doesn't want to have kids. And he said so much easier to be single. Yes, no shit, it's easier to be single. Yo, shit, it's easier to to not have kids. So why have them, right? What the hell are you here for? Are you trying to? I try to explain to them. Are you trying to make life easy? I'm just such an ass when I talk about this stuff. Is life supposed to be easy? If you expect it to be easy, life is just not easy. So you get to choose your struggles. Right? I get to choose, in a way, I choose the struggle of being married. I choose the struggle of having children. Now, did I necessarily make a conscious decision where I pressed a button? Not really. It just kind of happened. I never wanted to really have children, but my wife did, and I love my wife, right? And then now I have kids. I can't imagine life without them. And now I have these children, and I can play video games by myself, or I can continue to work more hours and grind away, or I can spend time, wake up early, work out with my kids, and do stuff with them, teach them stuff. Why? Because I feel like it's just something that I should do as a father, right? It's just something that I want to do. Now I understand what happens to people at this age. I'm 35 years old. For those that don't know, my dad murdered my mom in point blank range, and that was when I was a kid. I was 14, and I know what my dad was going through. Not to say anything he did was right, but you're going through this phase where you're not making enough money, and you're trying to be the father, and you have this sort of weird struggle, right? And it's hard. When you're not making enough money or you're not doing well, there's this huge ego thing, especially with men, right? And then on the other spectrum, even if you are doing well, I'm 35 years old. I don't want to play with children. You know, I mean, I feel like I should, but I'd rather do some other things, right? You know, so it's kind of like you sort of learn that you don't always get to do what you want. You do the things that matter. You do a good amount of what you want, but at the same time, you want to contribute to the world. Anyways, I'm going to end this video because I'm out of battery. Thanks for watching.